The NHL trade season is in full swing, and the Flames are nowhere near done after trading Elias Lindholm to the Vancouver Canucks. And now it looks as though the clock is ticking on a decision for Noah Hanifin's future with the organization. Welcome to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith, and quickly I want to say thank you so much for 500 subscribers. You guys are fantastic. Let's try and shoot for 1,000 because 93% of you guys are not subscribed. So if you love the Flames, you want to stay up to date with the NHL in general, then make sure you subscribe. I'll be giving you all the latest news, updates, rumors, and reports regarding the Calgary Flames. And just make sure you stay tuned for tomorrow's videos. There will be a big one on the re-sign, the contract extension of Martin Pospisil, and I'll also have a game reaction video coming out after the game tomorrow night against the Devils, so make sure you stay tuned for that. As for this video, it's looking like Hanifin might be on the move. Now, this comes from Chris Johnston, obviously a very esteemed NHL insider, and he reported that the timeline for a Noah Hanifin decision, whether it be a trade or whether he will sign a contract extension with the Flames, is pretty much tiny. Pretty much happened within the rest of the week here. So here is the report that he said. I'll just quickly read it. This is from Chris Johnston again. These are not my words, they're his. Well, the Winds have certainly shifted course more than once through this year, where it looks like maybe at some points the Flames are going to re-sign Hanifin, others that they were going to look to trade him ahead of March 8th. I would expect in the coming days we will get some sort of idea where it's headed definitively, and that's because Hanifin's agents from CAA Sports are expected to have a conversation with Flames management where they present their final decision, where there's something to be decided upon, and that will ultimately propel this thing forward. What we don't know exactly is which way it'll go. And Chris Johnson thinks it's safe to say that if Calgary is not able to reach some kind of contract extension with Hanifin, they will use the time between now and the trade deadline to find a suitor. So he could very, very well be traded away. Obviously, I believe it was reported the Flames offered him $7.5 million a year already, and he turned that down, which is kind of insane. Although you look at some of the other contracts of defensemen in the NHL, like a Darnell Nurse, Erik Karlsson, players like that, they get a ludicrous amount of money, and Hanifin, you could say, keeps up with them, probably with Nurse a little bit, not necessarily with Karlsson's offensive numbers. But either way, Hanifin is playing absolutely fantastic lately. In the game last night, I mean, come on. He scored a beauty goal on the power play where he literally just went end to end, just took it coast to coast from pretty much behind the Flames net all the way down. Just a beautiful backhand that went right through Jeremy Swayman to give the Flames an even bigger lead. That was just fantastic to see. I mean, come on, Noah Hanifin. He's playing lights out right now. He always seems to show up against his hometown Bruins, and I think he's playing really well right now to show what he's worth. Obviously, he wants the most money possible. So is there the potential that he will sign here and stay here? Yes. Is there a chance he'll do a sign and trade? Maybe. I mean, it's probably not the top option, but it's possible. And then, of course, if the Flames and Hanifin and his camp are far apart, then looks like he'll be traded before the deadline. And I'd love to keep Hanifin. Just like with all these trades, I'd love to keep the player involved. I would have loved to have Lindholm. That being said, I'm pumped that we have Kuzmenko. The Kuzi doozy last night was just fantastic. We'll get that going on the channel, the Kuzi doozy. But I would love to keep Lindholm. I would love to keep Tanev. I would love to keep Hanifin, but regardless, I mean, obviously you need to give up some good pieces to get something back and build for that future. But speaking of Hanifin and where he might go, now that we know his timeline, let's look at the Eastern swing here that we're on. So obviously we played Boston last night in Boston on a little road trip out east in the United States, and Hanifin played very, very well against Boston. Funny that we're in Boston. Boston, a big contender. They seem to always make a move at the deadline. Hanifin might have been on their radar, and now he might be even more on their radar. Was Hanifin trying to show out for Boston so that he could be moved there? Maybe. The Bruins said that they probably won't move, some of their best assets. So it could be unlikely for that to happen, but we'll see. But let's take a look at the rest of this. So obviously a huge 4-1 win last night in Boston. Absolutely demolished them. I mean, thank goodness for Martin Pospisil. Like I said, I'll have a video on him tomorrow. But he smoked Marchand in the face, and instead of getting a suspension, he got a contract extension. We love that for him. Looking ahead, tomorrow night we play against New Jersey, and then the two New York teams over Saturday and Monday. So a big swing here, and all those teams, could potentially make a move at the two Flames defensemen that are on the market in Tanev and Hanifin. I think it's more likely that Tanev will be the type that could go to New Jersey. That being said, if New Jersey just keeps falling out here, they probably won't even decide to sacrifice their assets and their future for a year that's already lost. But the Islanders, they've been rumored to land Tanev already. They could use a Hanifin as well. And the Rangers, I don't know, they're kind of falling apart a bit, but I mean, they'd love a guy like Tanev back there. Imagine him with Trouba or anyone back there, really, and he'd be fantastic at getting the puck out. Maybe Shesterkin, it would help him out a lot and take that off him. Now to those teams. For Hanifin, I think it's most likely he goes to, I don't know, I guess if we're still counting Boston, I'd say Boston just because of last night. But I do hope throughout this Eastern swing that those two do still get showcased together. They could definitely go as a package. Obviously, I just hope that neither of them get hurt and that it's not lost for the rest of the season, whether they get traded away or keep playing for the Flames. I mean, no matter what, you don't want anyone to get hurt, but especially this time of season, it's really, really gutting. But it'll be interesting to see how the Flames do on the rest of this Eastern swing, because a lot is at stake. After last night's game against the Bruins, it kind of looks like, hey, we should make a push at the playoffs. We could be a very legitimate team. Maybe this retooling was exactly what we needed. And I really hope they do play really, really well going forward. I mean, they looked like one of the strongest teams I've ever seen. That's the best Flames performance I've seen since the 2022 season. And even then, that team last night could definitely keep pace with that 2022 team. I mean, that being said, the Flames were just incredible that season. Won the Pacific, made it to the second round, and it was just fantastic. But obviously, I'll keep you updated on any Hanifin rumors. If what Chris Johnson said is true and they do make a decision within the next couple days, that would be fantastic. I'll give you all the content, all the juicy details, and it'll be super interesting to see how that goes. The last thing I want to talk about in this video is number 34 is headed to the Rafters. I'm sure all you guys heard of it now, and it was no surprise that Miikka Kiprusoff, the absolute GOAT goaltender for the Flames, is heading up to the Rafters. His number 34 will be retired. This is actually a plaque of him. Oh, this one here. Oh, well, I guess the reflection was in the way. But either way, I love Miikka Kiprusoff. Growing up, in Calgary, I just fell in love with Kipper, with Iggy, and Kipper was really just so solid. And he was part of the reason why I fell in love with hockey, fell in love with the Flames. But he is arguably the best goalie in Flames history. I know a lot of people would say Mike Vernon just because he brought the cup here and, he's won the Conn Smythe over in Detroit and all that, and he's a Hall of Famer now. Fair argument. For me personally, I'd give it to Kipper just because I actually got to grow up watching him. I'm not old enough for Vernon. But Kipper, for very good reason, getting his number retired in Calgary. He has the most games played for a goalie with the franchise, the most wins at 305, a .913 save percentage over his career, which is really, really incredible. You think back to that 2006 season. He won the Vezina easily. He won the Jennings for least goals against, and he actually was the first team All-Pro that year. For first team All-Star, I should say. I was acting like it was the NFL. First team All-Star for Kipper that year. And the Flames were just incredible that season, backed by great defense and goaltending. Obviously, they disappointed in the playoffs like they have pretty much every single year since 2004. But speaking of 04, he almost brought the Flames to a cup as well to join Mike Vernon as the goalies that brought Lord Stanley to the Red Mile. But, man, as we all know, the puck was in. The Flames really did win in 04. So I'm just going to say both Iggy and Kipper really, if you look at it, do have a Stanley Cup on their resume. I'll just quickly show you that the game where it's happening will be on March 2nd of this year at the Saddle Dome, of course. They are hosting the Pittsburgh Penguins that night. So that'll already be a hot enough ticket with Sidney Crosby coming to town. And the Penguins are an interesting team this year as well. They're kind of like the Flames. So that should be a great game. Obviously, the ceremony starts well before game time. So if you are lucky enough to be going to that game, make sure you give Kipper a big round of applause. He is just a fantastic man, and no one is more deserving of having his number retired in Calgary. I am stoked for him. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you're new around here or if you just have been liking the content lately. I sincerely appreciate every single subscription, and I sincerely appreciate all of the interaction and engagement you guys have. You guys have such good points you make in the comments, so much good analysis, good predictions, and just all the speculation, and you guys are actually hilarious too. There's one thing I know about Flames fans is that we love cursing, and we also have great senses of humor. So I appreciate all of that from you guys. You guys honestly are just unreal. You make my day. You've made this the most fun job in the entire world, and I can't thank you enough. So thank you for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe, and have a fantastic night.